they're going to do is take the utility wires and cross our land. And when they cross our land, they need to have a waiver of compensation and appraisal and an easement. So the state of Connecticut is replacing Route 1 bridge over the Patagonia River from April to November 2016. So be warned, citizens of East Lyme.
You think the traffic's bad now?
Yeah, so wait until they start doing that and the Sunday night traffic. And so we need, one, a waiver of compensation and appraisal, which is a document where the town waives its right to seek monetary compensation for the easement. The value of this easement would most likely be between $100 and $500 for that period of time. The effort by the state to do the appraisal and associated paperwork would far exceed that value. And typically we do work with the state of Connecticut, and in turn they do work with us in this type of situation. Not always. The engineering department recommends waiving the compensation appraisal to give the DOT money to foster our continued cooperation with the state agency. And number two, we got to sign a temporary construction easement, an aerial only, because the wires are going over our land, to the state of Connecticut for the temporary relocation of overhead utility wires over a property owned by the town of East Lyme near the Route 1 bridge. Final easement language is still being prepared by lawyers, and what I need is permission to sign it when it comes through, and our attorneys take a look at it.
I'll move to authorize the first selectman to execute a temporary easement between Connecticut Department of Transportation and the town of East Lyme over a piece of land owned by the town of East Lyme adjacent to the Route 1 bridge over the Patagonia River, and to sign a waiver of compensation and appraisal. And do I need to read the, oh.
Second.
Okay.
It has been seconded. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain?
And now I'll move the resolution. Whereas the town of East Lyme is the owner of certain real property situated in the town of East Lyme, county of New London, and state of Connecticut, upon which the state of Connecticut Department of Transportation proposes to acquire a temporary construction easement for aerial only of 694 plus square feet, state project number 044-148-004, as herein described. And whereas the town of East Lyme has been informed of its right to an appraisal and the right to receive any and all just compensation for said construction easement acquisition, now therefore said town of East Lyme does hereby waive the right to an appraisal and the right to any and all just compensation for said real property acquisition described as follows. For a more particular description of the above property, reference is made to a map entitled Town of East Lyme, map showing easement acquired from Town of East Lyme by the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation, replacement of bridge number 02973, Thomas A. Harley, P.E., Chief Engineer, Bureau of Engineering and Construction, Town number 44, project number 44-148, serial number 4, sheet 1 of 1.
Usually we second those.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns?
I wonder why our town is number 44 when we're 4-5.
Yeah.
Because we are 4-5.
Yeah, 045.
045, and this says 44. Anyway, I would put 5 there because we are, town of East Lyme is 045. But
I don't think that'd be a critical
it's not going to
error.
make a big deal,
No.
I suppose, but
For whatever reason.
anyway, Mr. Tom Harley,
Okay.
hope he shows up in this town. We replaced the
We'll sort
wrong
him out,
bridge.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
lose the wrong bridge. All right.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Very good. Next on our agenda is a continued discussion and action of the Samuel Smith House situation. I had a very productive meeting. I thank Mrs. Hardy for taking some of her valuable time and coming in, and Miss Luane. Did I get that right? Luane Lang. Wow. I've been saying it wrong, and I was finally corrected. For first of all, ma'am, for giving up a couple of days on your vacation to stay and work this problem out, or at least get to where we are. Thank you. Your passion and dedication is unparalleled. Wonderful. So here's a situation. We kind of left it of this group, and do we want to form another commission? Well, maybe not yet. And it was the plan not to. And we're still working out details about a possible, a lease situation with this home. But in the meantime, we do have an historic properties commission that does oversee on behalf of this town and is a liaison between the state and this town, especially in this matter. It was formed, I believe, because of the purchase of this. It's there, and many of the same players are in the commission, and also players and volunteers at the Sam Smith House. So, bottom line is, in next year's budget, should this commission choose to fund, we should be able to use the Historic Properties Commission to fund money with the specific purpose of supporting the Samuel Smith House. Now we'll go backwards. It will go back and talk about, again, when we bought this house, we had a commitment to the state to maintain this property. We had a loose commitment from the group that they thought they'd be able to ramp up a little quicker than is proving to be correct. But I have faith in this group, in their passion, and their dedication, and their hard work of getting grants, of getting donations, of getting of finding money and building an endowment over the years that this will be a self-supporting property at some point. I fully believe that, because I know no more dedicated group of people in this town than this group, and the passion for this house. That said, there are things on this house right now that do need to be fixed, and we do have an obligation to the state, into this grant, into the commitment. So we were handed a shopping list, and forgive me if that is offensive. I mean nothing by it, but we tried to sit with Mrs. Lang and Roseanne and come up with has to be done before Christmas, before the snow flies, materials. And number 2 on the list is replace clapboard. If you drive by the house now, some of the side is not there anymore. It's fallen off the house. They do need to shore up the house. It's rotting away. Field mice can get in, and at least we need to have a complete home there. Number 3, replace all exterior window and door trim. Seems very inexpensive for the $500, and with the volunteer work there as well. There's also 4 and 5. They're $100 each, and I was going to say let's wait till the spring, let's wait for the new budget, but they're $100 items, assuming we can get some the use of the town equipment. And we're also hoping for negotiating a pro bono arrangement on the raising of the southeast corner of the home. That being said, that adds up to $2,700. Anna, you had suggested we might be able to find money in town projects, the town project CNRE fund, that might support this in this case, in this short-term, small money situation, that we could find money there to support these 4 items. Bring it to the Historic Properties Commission, who would then move it through to, they would be the town stewards of making sure the money is spent properly and in the right place for the right reason. And then when we get to budget season next year, we would ask that this group come up with a 3-year or a 5-year plan of what the town's, what they would project the town's investment and commitment to this home might be. They're doing fundraising. They're fixing things. There was something about a gutter that a period piece gutter. They don't just call the gutter guy. They carve it out of wood and all that. It's an art, and they might have a grant for that coming up. And no doubt there'll be fundraising. No doubt there'll be commitments, monetary commitments. I do believe the town has a commitment after going down this road for 2 years. Not to make this a museum, not to bring it to this, which is very well done and very thought out. And boy, what a piece. But I don't think that's the town's commitment. I think the town's commitment is to maintain that house. Make sure that the water's not coming through the roof, that the chimney's not falling over, that, the steps to get into the property are safe, that are not liability. And, when the clapboards fall off the side of the house, when the exterior chimney needs repointing, that we would step up and do those things. To move it to the next level, I do believe it's fundraising. I do believe it's grant writing. I'm hoping in next year's budget to be able, that you would support and we would be able to justify having a full-time grant writer on the town staff, who's there's grants everywhere. We all know that. We hear that. I get them in my inbox every day, and I'm just one guy in town. There's departments all over town that are getting grants, grant applications, but we're not qualified to that, or we don't have the time to do that, or volunteers might be really good at carpentry or even raising money, but not grant writing, which is a specific art and a specific talent. So that being said, I think a grant writer would pay for his or herself in the first 2 months of the year if they're worth their salt. So that being said, we might be able to work in collaboration with all our historic properties, maybe even the Board of Ed, to go find some grants out there, because there are towns out there doing it very successfully. So, comments? I think I brought you up to date where I am.
Mark, I think you did a great job getting Luann, and especially with the help of Roseanne, who can be extremely helpful and resourceful. The only question I have too in this, where it says lift rental or use town equipment at no cost, my only concern would be a lift rental. I'm sure this town insurer would probably want someone who's been certified to operate that equipment doing it.
It wouldn't just be the equipment, it would be the operator.
Okay, that was the only question I had. But I think it's a great idea. There's a plan to maintain and preserve the property to keep it from falling into further disrepair. And I think it's a great idea, a 3 to 5 year plan, so all the stakeholders involved can sit down and talk, and then there'll be a plan moving forward with fundraisers and some of the other ideas. I think answers so many of the questions we had last time. I'm comfortable with what the people involved and with what you've planned to move forward with.
I think the figure of 2,700 is very much in line with what we're currently doing for the Historical Society, with a grant of $2,500, which traditionally we've done that for probably the last 20 years or more, and it seems to me that this is consistent with that.
Any other comments?
You all know my history with this, but when we signed the agreement with the state, we have a legal obligation to maintain this property, and I don't think, given that situation, we don't have any choice. We need to maintain the property. Certainly, and not allow it to deteriorate. So this seems a reasonable first step along that path.
I agree. Great compromise and moving a good stopgap to get this at least ready for over the winter part of it, and move on to a new budget and see where they're at.
I'll just add that this makes sense. This is something we need to do. They do an excellent job there. I've been to some fundraisers there. It's a well organized, well done, good group of people, and we need to maintain this building. We made the investment. This needs to be done.
Great. Is there a motion prepared for this, or Charlie, were we going to wing it?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah, I thought you haven't done anything yet.
Right.
Okay.
So we could, so we'd be taking money from the town
Sure.
projects. Or do you
Get
want to?
up
Do you
there,
want to?
Anna.
Do you want to make the motion, Anna?
Yeah, she'll do it, and
Explain
then,
where the money's
and then we can
coming
do
from,
so.
That'd be
moved.
awesome.
And
Thank
then,
you.
and then so moved.
So, move to appropriate and transfer $2,700 from CNRE Fund 32, account number 32-70-300-500-100-100, town project allocations to an account to be established titled Samuel Smith House
Maintenance fund?
Maintenance, and move to the, and forward to the Board of Finance for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
This will not require a town meeting, just for the record. It will go to Board of Finance. I got a motion, it's been seconded. While I still, well, we can make comments before we move the motion. As far as the lease goes, I have enough of the group here. We are kind of, I guess, walking down the road of we need a lease instead of a commission. Luann has done, see, now I'm going to be self-conscious about this, has done remarkable work in looking at other properties around the area. I am not stuck on any language. I just want to move forward and solve a problem and let you guys go on and do this work and have the universe enjoy this property. So let's just move forward. So whatever you come up with a lease, we would like to stay away from the 99-year lease because that's a permanent lease by legal terms. And we want to get just down the road a little bit to see some momentum. And I'm sure in 2 years we might flip that lease, cancel that one, and make it a 99 or whatever. But let's get some momentum, some endowment, some self-sustaining momentum. And I think that's all anyone's really looking for. We have faith. We have faith in you. So I'll call the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Great. If you haven't seen this, I have a couple copies up here at the end of the meeting. You're welcome to it. I know some great work has been done there.
Perhaps we could have a copy of this left at the front desk, the old reception desk,
Okay.
for the general public.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
they're expensive copies, so
I'm
I don't
sure
want to run
they
off
are.
100 of them.
Laminate and post it or something.
We have a tight budget, right? So it's going to be charged to that account.
Okay.
So kidding. Next on my agenda, communications there are non-information reports, ex officio reports. Shall we start, say down this end and just move across? Mr. Wilson, anything?
Well, just under the communications or
sure.
for my ex officio, as far as Kevin Siri is retiring after 29 years.
I have retired.
Well, it's retirement, but we're not going to celebrate it until next Friday, and I think from the state of Connecticut, as far as the town of East Lyme goes, being a resident trooper in Salem, he has helped this town out, and especially given up his time and effort on the capacity at the Board of Ed and also here on this board, and we appreciate that and wish him all the best.
Thank you, Rob, from one of my first training officers when I was a town police officer.
And you're still here,
Thank
which
you.
is good. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
That was weak.
Okay, fine.
All right. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Mrs.
I guess I'm up. Last night I attended the meeting of the East Lyme Library Board of Trustees. Nothing amazing to report. Very, very, very busy summer. Record number of children involved in the summer reading program. The annual fund drive has started. Very good response so far. The library continues to be an asset to the town. In my capacity as ex officio on zoning, I attended their last meeting on whenever it was, September 3rd, and they approved the application of the town of East Lyme for a special permit for a new salt shed and public works fueling facility at the Field Services Building. They approved the application of the town of East Lyme for a special permit to replace 2 underground fuel tanks and replace them with an above-ground tank at Roxbury Road. And the zoning commission approved the application of Todd Sitkowski for a special permit for a taproom brewery in downtown Niantic. And that was the extent of the business they transacted. And that's my report.
Officer Siri?
Kevin.
Okay.
I went to a Parks and Rec meeting last week. The first selectman was there also. Prior to that, they had a youth services meeting. They've had a lot of good activity. They have a juvenile review board that's showing some really positive results now. They had 4 cases. and they've seen a lot of progress in that and a lot of parental involvement, so it's a viable alternative to sending them to juvenile court. They also have more students showing up at their after-school programs after school for the middle school age students this year. A lot of turnout, so that's positive. A couple things coming up. Next week from tomorrow, the 24th, they're having a suicide awareness and prevention seminar here. I believe it's at 7 o'clock right here. And they're trying to have as many people attend that as possible, trying to get the word out to the school. Also, this Friday, the 18th, at 6 o'clock, Jeffrey's Run down at McCook's Point. It's the scholarship. There's 3 scholarships of $1,500 each they're going to be giving away this year. And this is money raised in memory of Jeffrey Borges, the little boy with the wood chipper incident back a few years ago in Salem. At Bridebrook, they want to put a scoreboard up. They've asked for a little bit more information. It'd be right near Keyser Field, so when they have lacrosse, soccer games, they'd be able to have a little scoreboard there. Parks and Rec is also having movie nights, which have been really successful. And Mr. Putnam, the Parks and Rec director, is going to be coming to us very soon to talk about revenues for the summer, as well as some a presentation to deal with some of the parking accessibility concerns that he heard about this year. So he is fully aware of that, and he plans on coming with some suggestions and some well-thought-out plans. That's it.
Okay. Mrs. Hardy.
I'd like to first mention that I've been relatively quiet the last few meetings, so I feel I have banked some time.
Ma'am, we have the room until 11:59.
I won't take that long. Okay, Commission on Aging. Again, a very active schedule. They have many cooperative trips planned with several of the regional commissions, cruises, trips that I'd like to be taking.
Yeah.
I qualify. So very ambitious schedule, and of course local trips as well. I would say that probably each month there are at least 7 or 8 trips. Some as inexpensive as $3 to local places. They're seeing an increase in requests for transportation, and now that there's been a new medical center sponsored by Gale in Old Saybrook, there are many requests for passage to Old Saybrook, and at the same time, many people still have appointments in New London. We're not talking about shopping trips, we're talking about medical appointments that they need to be taken to, that they're not able to drive themselves to. So I think alert for us that they're beginning to have real scheduling problems. They're trying to fill some of the gaps by using substitute drivers, bus drivers. But of course, the substitute driver needs a vehicle to drive. And if the other vehicles are in use, then that presents a problem. So I think that this is something in our budgeting that we need to begin to think about, is possibly the need for another vehicle for them. Perhaps not next year, but the following year. I'm not sure how many of the new units at Gateway have senior citizens. So far, there have only been a couple of requests for transportation from there. But we also need to remember that when we first approved, zoning first approved the special unit for housing for the so to speak, the active elderly, many of those people were in their late 50s and 60s. And in 20 years, those people have progressed. And many of them are now in a position where they need some assistance with transportation and are utilizing the Commission on Aging more frequently. Mrs. Wilson does a tremendous job up there as the director, and I think that she's going to be asking to meet with you in the next few weeks to discuss some of these things. On the positive side, although that's been primarily positive, but on the positive side, I had reported to you some time ago that there was concern about the low attendance at the luncheon, the daytime luncheons, and that has shown an increase. They're now up to serving about 20 lunches on-site a day, and the Meals on Wheels continues to be very popular. However, we're now going on to a year that they have not had a site supervisor, and we really need to get on this. We have a representative to TVCCA, and I think we need to get that representative to come to our meeting and report to us, which we have not asked the representative to do for some time. I can't remember the last time we had the representative here.
To Commission on Aging or to this meeting?
To this meeting, we appoint.
I don't recall ever seeing that.
So I think that we need to put that on the agenda for an upcoming meeting.
Darlene, could you make a note of that? Maybe we'll take a look at inviting the TVCCA for a report next meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Board of Ed was Monday night. The board approved a new student data system, computerized system. This will merge all student records and the student will be able to be tracked from kindergarten all the way through high school. And if they continue, or if the student continues to provide the information, then the student could be tracked through college and afterwards. Welcome 1984.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's a little bit scary, I think. But this would merge health records, academic records, a full profile. And the general public would not have access to all of this information, and neither would every teacher. So there are some safeguards in there. They narrowed it down to 2 programs. One is called Power School, which the majority of schools in the state use. And the other program is a lesser-known program called Infinite Campus. There are currently about 8 schools in the state that use that, and there are about 4 states that use that program primarily. The rest, I would say probably 65 to 70% use the Power School program. But they decided on the Infinite Campus because of the merging of all of the data and having it all in one central location, whereas Power School requires certain adjunct programs to feed into. Did I tell you that was $90,000?
No, I was just about to ask how
Yes.
much that,
90,000.
90,000.
90,000. Okay, enrollment, we got an up-to-date report on that, and in spite of the fact that we hear a lot of people talking about why the school budget isn't going down because of declining enrollment, it's a total decline of 68 students through the entire school system. The biggest drop is 27 students at Haynes School. I think one of the elementary schools had a drop of 4 students. So when you take this number and disperse it over 13 grades, the number is really negligible. It's not enough really that you would eliminate a class or a teacher. And at the high school, we're finding that many of the classes in the required courses are at capacity. Some of the electives are small, but the general impression that the school population is really down just isn't accurate. We also heard a report on the elementary school project, and they have come. The architects have come back with a downsized plan to present, space saving. These are mostly simple things. Downsizing a bit some of the classrooms. The hallways were scheduled to be 8 feet wide. They've reduced those to 7 feet, just to try to bring the cost of the project down a little bit. The architects wanted to get some feedback from the board members on the changes that they had suggested, and we'll be coming back next month with a price. Would you like me to continue?
You still got plans?
I wouldn't want to cut you off. Let's put it that way.
All right, I'll try to be fast. Planning. Okay. Planning discussed 2 things last night. One would be the proposal before zoning to increase the housing at, is it the Sound? at Gateways, is that
Mhm.
what it's called? So on a referral from zoning, they discussed that proposal and did not arrive at any decision. Several of them plan to go to the zoning meeting tomorrow night to listen to that presentation, and they have filed an agenda as the majority of the commission plans to go. Which, by the way, we should find out how many from our group plan to go, if it's quorum. I don't know if we need to post it.
That's a good point.
Um,
When is that?
Tomorrow
Tomorrow.
night.
Tomorrow's zoning meeting.
I'm not going.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you have to go.
I'm
right?
going.
You're going?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that would only make three if you're not
Two or
going.
three.
Okay, you're not going?
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. When it,
I think it's just an overview of the project, where it's been and where it's going.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that,
I'm on the design committee, so
okay.
I won't be there.
All right. I also forgot to mention from Board of Ed, two very nice donations. Community groups should be recognized. Niantic Rotary Club gave $10,000 towards the high school digital sign, and the Niantic Lions Club gave $5,000 for 3 flagpoles to be placed at the athletic complex. And the flagpole that exists in front of the high school really is in very poor condition and probably will come down. Those will probably be the 3 flags, which brings me to yet another